A group of concerned journalists say views critical of the official COVID-19 narrative have been censored in the mass media. They say the public are only given one scientific truth. Many of the journalists want to remain anonymous, but we have interviewed two who were willing to speak. NTD's Jane brings us this report.
Almost 30 journalists have come together to counter what they say is censorship of views critical to the official COVID-19 narrative. They say the censorship has taken different forms and the public has the right to know the truth.
My main concern with the censorship is that the public are not being well informed. They don't, even to do with the vaccines, they're not getting informed consent. Informed consent is you need to know all the risks involved. That has been completely downplayed. So they're only hearing one version of the truth, the one version. So that's very dangerous. Also, fear-mongering has been going on with the mainstream media. Now, if you look at the early minutes of the SAGE meeting done in the UK around March 2020, there was actually, they did a table of the key points they wanted to address and use media to increase sense of personal threat was highlighted as a tool that they need to do. So this has already, it's almost like a psychological warfare has been unleashed and the mainstream media has done its, they're doing its bidding.
Among the group of journalists, which is called Holding the Line, Journalists Against COVID Censorship, is former BBC journalist Tony Gosling. He says one of the scandals is the failure of the press to look at treatment for COVID-19.
When we're talking about censorship, this is not a light term to use. Ivermectin, chloroquine, vitamin D, zinc have all been censored. We haven't seen any kind of pushing and promotion of this in the mass media, apart from a tiny bit in the Daily Mail, at all. And as a result, we've seen potentially tens of thousands of people die unnecessarily. And that's why this is such a serious issue.
I know that some people want to remain anonymous. So can you tell me a bit about that?
Well, there's very good reasons why people have to remain anonymous. If anyone knows how journalism works nowadays, we've got official guidance now at the BBC, which is saying that people are not allowed to express their views outside the corporation. And if they do, it can be a sackable offence. Now, that's fairly new. And it's certainly in the old days, and in traditional free journalism, journalists can express their views whenever they wish, and they don't necessarily have to face any kind of disciplinary or sacking. I think if you were to publicly have a go at your boss, for example, that's one thing. But if you're just saying things like, well, I don't think I'm going to have this vaccine and this is why, then why is that a sackable offence? If you go along to a rally as an interested person to see what's going on, why is that a sackable offence? Of course, it shouldn't be, but they are becoming sackable offences.
But Fiona Fox of the Science Media Centre was quoted in the Press Gazette as saying, "There are lots of issues that the media hasn't, I don't think, informed the public well about, but on COVID, I think they have." The Science Media Centre weren't able to speak to NTD before deadline. The trade body News Media Association that campaigns for press freedom and freedom of expression didn't respond in time for deadline. Jane, NTD News, London.